Welcome to the grid. I cannot believe it's a year since I stood here. And it's a little bit like I remember from last year. This is not a well-attended event at all. In fact, I think with the look of all this, if you buy a ticket, you're allowed on the grid. It's chaos, really. You might see, actually, there's a lot of the riders coming forward. There is going to be a minute silence at some point for the unfortunate accident that happened this week, the German air crash. I'm going to wander a little bit this way. We have picked also quite a good time to join me on the grid because I want to tell you some facts first. On this grid, it's hard for you to believe this, but on this grid there's been 29 World Championships won between the riders. In fact, 14 riders on this grid have won World Championships. So can you believe that? Between them, race-wise, they've won 444 races. That's not including mine. I didn't win that many. Right, let's wander through. Like I say, as you can see, it is quite hectic. We are going to try and speak to some of the people when we finally get through. The top Brit was Bradley Smith. He's had a really strange weekend, actually. It was one of those, when I was speaking to him earlier, he's like, I can't get the feel, the bike's not working, but actually Bradley has gone to the front of the grid, so in fact, I'll have a quick chat. We've got 30 seconds with Randy Ramola. Randy, can I just quickly, I know there's going to be a minute silence, but how are you feeling? Another year.
Like everybody, tension. There's so many guys that are so close, as you know, in qualifying. Anything can happen. It's about edge grip around here and who can control it the best.
And what's the secret? Have you heard it? Is he going to be all right?
I think so. I mean, obviously there's been an array of tires that haven't worked, and Bradley's qualifying tire worked very, very well. We're hoping that we got another good one. Yeah. But it is about edge grip with the Yamaha. We know that the Yamahas are struggling. They're right now 8th, 9th, and 10th on the we're 8th, 9th, and 10th on the grid at one stage, but we'll have to just wait and see. You know, the Ducati's running very fast. Marquez you can't count out ever, but it's going to be a close one out there.
Understatement of the year. It is incredible, isn't it?
It's tension. I mean, I had to do an interview for Dovizioso for Ducati, and it was incredibly tense with him.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I believe the minute silence is on now.
So just a moment of reflection here in Qatar after the awful events in the Alps this week in which 150 innocent people died in that terrible Germanwings aircraft, and the shock waves and the sadness felt right across the world.
And yes, I'm with Bradley Smith. Bradley, I was just saying earlier, it's been a strange old weekend for you, but when it mattered, you found the right setting, and actually you did the right, got the laps in.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't easy, but the good thing was we had the 3-day test here prior to that, and obviously Sepang, so I was quietly confident that everything would turn out all right, even if a few things were up in the air and weren't quite where they were supposed to. But first race is always a little bit different, so the main thing is to get a good start and wait and see how things pan out. I'm right in between the two factory Yamahas, and that's where I need to be. It's where I need to finish. So, yeah, let's go.
Good luck, Brad. Right, Cal Crutchlow's actually in 12th place. He's over there. He actually would have been a lot higher. I think he would have been probably about 4th or 5th on the grid, but as you saw, he had that very, very fast crash. Lucky to get away with it, really. At one stage, he was sliding under the bike, he said, but he managed to push it away at the last minute. I want to have a quick chat to Maverick Viñales on his first ever MotoGP race. Maverick, 2 years ago, you were sat on a Moto3 bike. Now you're on a MotoGP bike. That is some good progression.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that now here, that where I want to stay, so now we keep calm, we try to be really focused, and we try to keep a really good pace for the race.
Maverick, you look fantastic on this bike. Good luck.
Thanks, mate.
And he does look fantastic. He looks. He's got a beautiful riding style. It's a Marc Marquez riding style, elbow down every corner. Actually, I just want to squeeze in. Sorry, I'm going to squeeze through. Scott, I'm trying to do a quick grid walk here. How are you, mate? You're looking good.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Made another big change for the race, so it's either going to be better or worse, but we're sure going to give our best and try and get top 10.
I know you said about the grip, you were struggling with front grip on the fast corners and a bit of rear grip as soon as you touched it. I know you were trying something in the warm-up. Did it help?
No, it didn't really help in the warm-up, so we've done something completely different. We don't really know the outcome, but we're going to give it our best shot.
Well, you finished 7th here last year. Let's hope you can do it again.
I'll do my best.
Right, well done. All right, Penny. It's actually hard to believe. In FP3, now I've been around, like I said, I'm getting old. I've been around this paddock for about 25 years. And in FP3, there was 1 second covering the top 20 riders, and I've never seen anything like that. Back in my day, I remember when Mick Doohan was riding, in fact, Mick Doohan sometimes was on pole by over a second, so it shows how close it is. Here we go, here we've got another man. Eugene Laverty's first ever MotoGP race coming up, and the last thing he wants to do is talk to me, but sorry Eugene, you're going to have to talk to me. How are you feeling? Nervous? You look pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm relaxed. You know, when you're this far back, there's not much pressure.
This far back, now don't do yourself any misjustice here. It's been going really good. We're saying you was less than a second off, or you about a second off in FP3, down in 19th. Made any changes? How's it been going?
Yeah, it's been step by step getting there. Every time we make a change to improve something, we keep having to take the bike on a little bit as I push it harder and harder. So that's going to come with time. The more laps I do in the bike, and I definitely think today in the race, complete these 22 laps, and I'll learn more than I did just during the entire pre-season.
And is this, I'm going to ask an obvious question, but it's going to be a learning race, because you don't know what it's going to feel like, do you?
No, definitely not. In Malaysia, I did like 2/3 distance run, but this is a race with the other riders, so I haven't been able to overtake many guys, so it's time to get in there and get involved.
Well, I've always said, I've said it to everybody, I've said it on TV, you're a racer, not a qualifier, so good luck. I said that about everybody. Hey, Pippa, you're right. Right, Gav's about somewhere. Friend of the stars, Gav, I call him. Wherever there's anyone famous or anyone important, here he is. How could I miss him? Sorry, Gav, that's a cheap joke. How are you, mate?
Oh, well, usually I'm with the stars. Unfortunately, I've got to share the camera now with Neil Hodgson. No, but I am back here watching. I've just been chatting to Jack Miller. Cool as ever, making jokes on the grid, but he did say he was a little bit nervous. That was the one thing he says. Obviously, it's the start of his MotoGP career. He's the youngest rider on the grid. You spoke to Maverick Vinales. Jack's 6 days younger.
Right.
But they're having different fortunes, aren't they?
Yeah, I can't imagine Jack being nervous. So what was funny, and people probably couldn't see this, but he watched the whole of the Moto3 race, the whole of the Moto2, standing up in pit lane.
He did.
You know, most riders getting massages then, they're relaxing, they're in the zone. Not Jack, he's just stood there. He's just like a normal bloke, isn't he?
I did hear Lucio Cecchinello was just here, and he's saying this weekend they're having a bit of a nightmare with Jack because he leaves his mobile phone, he leaves it in the office and they could never find him, disappearing all over.
Score by error, we would never leave our mobile phones.
As if we would ever do that. If you just look at the back here, back of the grid is Marco Melandri. He's obviously a Grand Prix world champion in 250s. He's a 5-time MotoGP winner. He's beaten the likes of Valentino Rossi. He's beaten Sete Gibernau when he was around. He's beaten the best guys out there. He's at the back of our grid. You were talking about those 14 world champions. He's one of them. He won 6 World Superbike races last year. For me, this is the best field I've ever seen in MotoGP.
Yeah, I know, and you are much older than me, and you've been here longer, but all I remember about Marco Melandri was in 2006 at Phillip Island. Who can forget him coming out the last corner to win the race, sideways.
Finger in the air,
like
exactly.
That
was
the
the one.
sign. That was something special.
But he's really struggling with the Aprilia, and as we go through the grid now, you'll just be able to see on my left-hand side, if Paddy just swings around, there's his teammate Alvaro Bautista. He's only starting 4 positions ahead of him on the grid, but Bautista has looked like he's got on with that bike. We've seen the ART going so well in recent years. Aleix Espargaro did well on it when he was at the Aspar team, but this is a Grand Prix bike now. This is a prototype. This is what they expect, and this really is a learning year. Whereas Suzuki have come prepared, they haven't.
We've got to cut them a little bit of slack. You know what I mean? It's easy to be harsh. This is Suzuki last year decided to go to all the tracks on the Mondays and Tuesdays and test. What Aprilia have done, they know that really the best way to learn is just throw yourself in the deep end. So it's a real learning year, and I expect to see him improve quite a lot as the season goes on.
As you can see, we're just being followed. We're being kicked off the grid now with absolutely everyone.
With every man and his dog. I like
exactly.
To say. It's a bit
the
like
Suzuki
that,
team, the president of the FAM is just over here. This is Roger, team coordinator for Repsol Honda. He's got all the gear.
I've even there's even a group of lads here from Burnley who've somehow managed to get onto the grid. So if your wallet goes missing,
and there's a dodgy Irishman and dodgy Yorkshireman as well,
really
who have joined us somehow as well.
I was going to say, lads, last to leave the grid, last to leave the bar, but I don't blame you not wanting to get out of there because it is just such an exciting place pre-race, isn't it?
From what I've heard, first to leave the bar after JT's bought all the drinks. That's not my words.
And that's rare.
That's called clever boxing. That's called clever boxing.
Now, I think the interesting thing is a record number, 25 riders on the grid ever, and to have all those world champions, it's absolutely amazing.
What I'm interested to see, and we know obviously we've seen how close it is through practice, what's it going to be like on that first lap? Because you can't let anybody pull away from you. You can't, you have to be aggressive. It's literally, it's one of those situations.
Talking about aggressive.
Carl, I know, well, he's going to be aggressive, but it's one of those situations, pass or be passed. you know what it's like, James. You're approaching a corner. You're like, if I don't try and pass that person, someone's going to be up the
You're going to
inside
have to
of me.
stick the front seat.
Well, lads,
Craig.
I'm just
Come
going
on.
to say we've heard you speculate and blow on for the last 4 days. It has to stop now because it's all about to happen. The first MotoGP race of the 2015 season. They're about to set off. Let's head off to Keith and Jules.
So as we look down then on the Lusail International Circuit here in Qatar, we're just outside Doha, perhaps 20 kilometres up the road. We have a Ducati on pole position, albeit because it was fitted with a soft tyre. Ducati have that concession. We're looking now at the tyre configurations for the front row, and they're all on medium rears, which is about what we might expect. This is going to be very interesting, Julian, from the point of fact that we're going to find out what Ducati have with the race trim situation. Can Dovizioso run with those two Repsol Hondas in race trim with the race tyres?
Last year he could do 6 or 8 laps, and then the tyre was gone, and the effort involved meant the rider was effectively gone as well. We asked him this yesterday evening, what could you do? And he smiled charmingly and said, I don't know. We're going to answer that and a lot of other questions tomorrow in the race.
Everybody's on the medium rear slicks, it would seem, apart from Alvaro Bautista, Marco Melandri, Nicky Hayden, Carol Abram and Mike D'Amelio. Everyone else is on the medium rear slick, and I think that is indicative. Ground temperature 28 degrees, Jules. So that is exactly the same as we've had all the way through this weekend so far. Something I want to point out to you as well is, although we've got an hour early start, we've still got a dew point that's going on out there. I felt the dew on the seats of the motorbikes that are parked outside our unit here. I wonder if that is translating onto the track, if that dew point has come earlier. We're going to really notice that after these first couple of laps.
A lot of questions. In the meantime, in the middle of the warm-up lap, happy birthday, Jeff Duke, the only man to win a world championship on a British single, and then the only man to the first man, I should say, to win on 2 makes a motorbike. Norton in 51, and then a triple on Gilera's at 53, 54, 55. Happy 92nd, sir.
As we look across the circuit as they come round on their warm-up, then back to the grid. 2 Yamahas go through your picture, 3 in fact, with Bradley Smith as well. Slightly, I don't know quite why. We were talking about whether Valentino might risk a hard rear option in the back, and he hasn't risked that.
Oh,
it would seem. So at the end of the day, that perhaps that later race performance that we've seen him so good at round here before, Jules, maybe he's gone with a medium rear.
Yes.
Which might mean that he's just going to go from the off.
Yes, in previous years we've seen him use the hard, which meant the start was compromised, but he came through the field like a steam train and leapt across big gaps in the middle and end of the race. More questions than answers at the moment, Keith.
As that man rolls round to pole position, making it the first time since Valencia in 2011 that we've not had a Spaniard on any pole position over the weekend. So there has been no Spaniards in Moto3, Moto2 or MotoGP on pole position. That's the first time that's happened since Valencia in 2011, Jules. Can't believe I got that stat out before you.
Isn't that nice to see 2 Suzukis on the grid as well?
And going quick. Maverick Viñales, just 20 years old, and what a lovely kid he is as well. If he can convert his opening race on that Suzuki, big step for him into this race. Danny Pedrosa, he's looked good all weekend long. He could be a bit of a dark horse for this win. You've got to bet that the Repsol Hondas are probably the markers here. Who's it going to be then that makes the whole shot? Great start from the middle of the grid from Danny Pedrosa. Well, that's a bit old school from him, isn't it? He used to get an absolutely lively one, but eventually it's the Ducati that gets wound up, and it's Dobby that leads from, yes, it is, the Pramac Ducati that's run a little wide, and he's picked up by the Yamaha as well, and that's 93.
Marquez.
Marc Marquez right off the track and at the back of the field. Marc Marquez is stone last. We've got a race, ladies and gentlemen. 22 laps as Marc Marquez has to make it through.
What did we say about turn 1? What did we say? And
Always.
Lorenzo had a bad start, got off the line badly, but has got through to 2nd place. And that's Iannone on the other Ducati in 3rd.
It is Iannone. I thought it was a Pramac bike at first.
So did I.
It's Iannone that's got off the line and in 3rd place.
You know why? Because Hernandez is right behind him. It was Yoni.
Yoni Hernandez is there, but this is the man that's having to make his way. Oh, look at that. Pick his way through. Blimey. So the man who ended up with that first turn melee is the world champion, Marc Marquez. He's got some work to do now.
just gone past one of the Avintia machines.
Bradley Smith in 5th, I think.
Yep.
It is.
It is indeed. Paul Espargaro, his teammate right behind him, out running wide though it is at the moment. So they are in 5th and 6th place. Then it is Aleix Espargaro that's in 7th place, I think, at the moment. And then behind him, Dani Pedrosa. So the two Repsol Hondas that you've got to say, through free practice and through qualifying form, and he's been passed by the Pramac guy. Petrucci, who's been riding his socks off all week long, has just passed Dani Pedrosa.
They've promised Danny a pudding if he gets home quick.
Well, at the moment, he looks like he's already ate the pudding. A little early. Out front, Ducati. Can he keep it going? It's Dovizioso under pressure from Lorenzo. This is a man that you tipped for the top this year. Jorge Lorenzo I'm talking about, and he's been harangued by the two factory Ducatis. Well, whether they were on concessions to get themselves up the front end of the grid. First time we've had 3 Ducatis in the first 5 of qualifying, I think, ever in MotoGP.
It would be over the line. 0.05 covers the first 3, as you can see. Dani Pedrosa having to work hard, back in 9th place. Rossi behind him, Petrucci in front of the pair of them.
Aleix Espargaro in front of him as well.
On the Suzuki.
On the Suzuki. So you've got a Suzuki right up. Pedrosa has just passed Petrucci now. So he's got one man done. Got a lot of work to do. The 26th bike in the middle there's Dani Pedrosa. That is Valentino Rossi, the legendary 9-time champ, 7 times a MotoGP champ, has got some work to do also. Well, we've got a lot of big names. Going to have to do some real work there. Keep an eye on that man, Bradley Smith, that was in the middle of your picture, the 38 bike as well, in 5th place. Here he is. Homing in. Well, hopefully. We heard a lot about bad batch tyres and all the rest of it. Very, very unusual. I've never heard that before with Bridgestone. They have been out in the heat, I suppose, a bit in the containers here since testing here at Losail last week, but never heard of it before, I must say.
Bautista's already thought better of it. He came in the pits at the end of the first lap.
That must be amazing. Oh, hop, skip, jump from the 99. That's Jorge Lorenzo that's properly come out the box trying here, hasn't he?
Oh, just a bit.
Well, Dovizioso versus Jorge Lorenzo. Lorenzo knows with the Repsol Hondas mired back.
Look at this.
Oh, that is just beautiful. Absolutely so, Jorge. Fantastic. What an artist. Through then these fast right-handers, 4th gear. They are really tramping round these 3 right-handers. And Jorge picks up the pace in the middle as he entered into the first set of those right-handers, and now trying to eke out some kind of advantage. He'll know from his board exactly where everyone is. And that'll help. And look where the Repsol Hondas are, Jules.
Marquez is 14th by my calculation. There he is.
Pedrosa is only 7th. So the world champion and his teammate, much favoured. I've got to say, I thought the Repsol Hondas round here were, if they could get off the line, were going to be just the bikes to beat.
They appeared to get off the line okay, but what happened then?
Oh, first corner melee, isn't it? And certainly that Ducati looked quick. Here we go. That's Paul Espargaro on the 44 in front of the blue and yellow of Valentino Rossi, but in front of them, the Repsol Honda at the 26, Dani Pedrosa.
Oh, somebody's gone the scenic route.
There is Scott Redding. Scott Redding on the Mark VDS blue and yellow machine with the Estrella Galizia colours as well, but out front is the Movistar Yamaha. Didn't think I'd be saying this, Julian. The Yamahas just didn't look like they got the pace throughout the week to be in this position.
They most certainly did not. The gaps were tiny though, weren't they? So
all the way through. In fact, I think riders are looking more at lap times now than they are on the lap sheet, because basically wherever they ended up, they were only tenths of seconds off of the top pace. I've never seen MotoGP as close as it was in qualifying. In fact, a second covered the top 12 riders in qualifying. You don't often see that when it comes to MotoGP.
Cal Crutchlow in 10th, Scott Redding 14th, and Eugene Laverty in 22nd.
Don't really know what Cal Crutchlow's got for us in this race. I must say he had a terrible qualifying, jumped off it when he really shouldn't have, and we really don't know quite what he's got for us in race trim.
I'm enjoying Yoni Hernandez in 4th.
Oh, Yoni came good last year, didn't he? I've got to say, the Ducati boys, even if they're riding the 2014.3 or whatever Yoni is riding, Marc Marquez up to 12th now, we're on board with him.
Chasing a Suzuki.
Oh, there he goes, forcing his way through. Oh, that was when he got basically nerfed off.
Was he nerfed or was it self-inflicted?
There was no room left. No room left in the track, I don't think, and I think he had to go out there. But then when it counts...
They're saying Bautista was involved with him.
I think he found himself right on the outside of the domino effect. It wasn't the start he needed to get. He didn't get a whole shot out of the grid and put himself in a very poor position. logistically when he got down to turn 1. Here we go then, the power of the Ducati with the winglets, by the way. Yes, they're running the aerodynamics that seems to be favoured here at Losail. They tried them in testing, it seemed to work. Then they tried them without them on there during the week in free practice, but they soon came back on, didn't they?
They did indeed. Marquez tramping towards one. That's Pedrosa, who's gone past Bradley by the look of it. He has.
Hernandez is the man of the match at the minute, isn't
he just?
There he is. On the Pramac bike, that's the 2014.3 in 4th place. Whoa, that's a bit tight.
Hello, teammate.
Yes. He nearly wiped his wing off. I don't know about anything else. Let's have a look and see if they're both running winglets. I think they are. Yes, they are. Yep. Well, they've got a bike with and bike without each, haven't they? So
no, Dobby's got both with them.
Now, so he's gone through that phase of testing, has he?
Yanona, yes, one of each. Ducati's 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, we haven't said that for a while, have we?
Ever. Except in a 1-2-5 race in about 1958, I would suggest.
Can't believe it, but slowly but surely it looks like Dani Pedrosa is winding the wick up. He's right on Hernandez's tail now in 5th place. So Hernandez 4th, Pedrosa 5th. Look at this. Oh. Valentino Rossi versus who?
Versus Dani.
Dani's on him. Dani's up the inside. Whoa, Dani's looking like a proper racer. Valentino cut straight back. Valentino running the hard front tyre again. The red banded front tyre, mediums in the rear, but he's got that red banded. He likes the stability of that slightly stiffer front tyre. And once again, we saw him test all the way through the week with it, and he's certainly got the favoured one on the front now.
Cal Crutchlow in close connection now in 9th place on that white, mainly white fared number 35.
And up goes Valentino, takes the Pramac bike, and Valentino, I think, now moving up a place. Yes, he has done, gone in front of Hernandez.
Now let's watch the drag race here.
Yeah, you watch Dani Pedrosa.
Ducati. Yeah,
the man on the back, the Honda, I think, is the one to watch. So out comes Valentino of the slipstream, and oh, look at Dani, aims for the apex.
Well, we saw it last year. This is a fuel-heavy circuit. You can't go throwing gas down its gullets just for the odd couple of mph.
Bradley Smith right there with them as well, the 38 machine. He's got the Cross of St George on the top of his helmet, and keep an eye on him. He's certainly come out the box fighting Bradley Smith. Top 3 go through, then it's the battle for 4th. Oh, Pedrosa takes a place, and Crutchlow takes one from Paul Espargaro as well, and through comes Marc Marquez at the same time on the 93 machine. 35 is Crutchlow on the virtually all-white machine with the monster colour helmet, and through comes the 93 of Marc Marquez. Does he leave a gap for Cal Crutchlow to come back at him? No, he doesn't. So the Brit is done by the world champ, but Cal Crutchlow, good marker for Cal now, can follow fellow factory Honda man Marc Marquez through the field.
Looking good for Scott Redding. He's working his way up from average start to 12th now, just gone past Petrucci.
Bradley Smith still hanging on behind Hernandez here. Pedrosa, the 26, has gone through. Then it's Hernandez that's next up on the 68 machine in Colombian colours.
Both Bradley's Motor Grand Prix races here have ended in the sandpit.
Yeah, spectacularly so as well. But Bradley Smith really has had an awful week this week. I wonder what on earth is going wrong. Maybe that tyre situation, maybe it's set up, I don't know. But Guy Coulon has seemingly got the better of that. His race engineer, top man out of Tech 3. Those are your top 3 going through. Still, it is Lorenzo that has the advantage over Dovizioso and Iannone, the 2 factory Ducati men. I asked the question what their race pace may be. Well, it's certainly on the same pace as the Yamaha. The question, of course, that I meant was it on the same pace as the Repsol Hondas? You would have said absolutely not during the course of free practice and qualifying, but of course we didn't expect the 2 Hondas to be quite as mired as they have been from turn 1.
And the question in previous years, or last year, fastest lap of the race to Rossi, jump in the gap again. Ducatis can do the pace for half a dozen laps and then suffer massive drop-off of rear tyre performance. Will that happen again?
Lorenzo was out massively wide as well there, but there's your man, the legend that is Valentino Rossi. Can he bridge the gap? Certainly looks like he can to me. Got to say, their pace is not that hot. 1:55.8. 55.8 compares with 54.1. Andrea Dovizioso soft-tyred qualifying lap. So looking more realistically, bearing in mind that you've got to say that everyone else had medium tyres on for the factory boys. 1:54.3 was Dani Pedrosa's qualifying lap with that medium tyre, the same one as he's got in now for race trip.
Well, this is the plot of previous years. Rossi not qualifying well, not particularly starting well, but having the mid-race pace to leap across a big gap.
Well, that big gap's not that far in front, Jules. I still think that again, Rossi fastest first sector up on my monitor here. So you've got to watch out for Rossi. He really is trying to make it, but it's the Repsol Honda boys that I'm concerned about. Here is the 93 Marc Marquez. He's come from absolutely stone last after turn 1 of this race, all the way through, and surely he's going to be grabbing 7th place off Bradley Smith in a minute. Looking at the Lorenzo Dovizioso telemetry that we've now got courtesy of Dorna. Oh. Onto the front straight, looking back then at the Ducati. Jorge Lorenzo winds the wick up, but look at the speed of the Ducati as it closes in towards the 65 mile an hour turn 1 from 205 miles an hour onto the brakes. The angle of the attack of those two winglets, surely when the front dips down, is a bit of an advantage for the Ducati. I can't tell that. Oh, he nearly scraped that on the floor. That wing looked like it was on the floor.
It did indeed. That would not be a clever idea.
You've got to say it's designed that way.
Indeed, but don't expect to see those winglets last for long. They very much have the hallmark of a temporary fix.
Well, maybe it's just that extra thing that Delinea's looking for. I tell you what, he's under attack, Lorenzo. He's not going to be staying out front for much longer. There is Marc Marquez having to work very, very hard from last place through the 7th.
He's just fractionally slower than Lorenzo last time round, almost identical.
Yeah, that's
lap time.
He's got plenty of time though. The thing is, how much is he going to use that tyre up, working his way through from the back? He's going to have to really pace himself as he makes his way through. We're looking at Dovizioso in 2nd place. He's trailing the Yamaha man of Jorge Lorenzo, but not by much. He looked like a bit of a challenge coming his way, and Dovizioso, he's a beautiful rider on a motorbike. He's got brains as well.
Exactly. I was just about to say, the thinking man's racer as well, isn't he?
Certainly is. You can hear it banging against the electronic limiters there as the bikes start to spin all that horsepower up.
Rossi was half a second quicker, almost exactly, than Lorenzo last time round.
Rossi is just a god, isn't he? He manages to... Where's this performance come from, Julian? We've not really seen it from the Yamahas all week long.
Not a clue.
Although there was one point, if you remember, when they came back in from qualifying, having qualified quite badly, him and Alex Briggs were smiling at each other as if they were fairly happy with, obviously they were, with their race pace, which is what counts.
What it's about, and they know he goes well at this track, as Valentino. Even in the bad years, he's gone well here.
Hernandez still in front of Marquez. Unbelievable. Well, Yamaha have got a long way to go yet, but they'll be looking for their 50th win. I wonder if tyre-wise as well. I mean, Valentino Rossi, historically has tried that harder tyre on the back. Just recheck our sheet just to make sure, but I'm fairly sure he's on a medium rear. I'm fairly sure he is, and I'm sure that's what it looked like to me as well.
No.
Hernandez under attack now.
Jorge on the medium, Valentino on the hard rear.
Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh, that's
front. Sorry, no, they're front. We know he's on the hard front. It's softer over that side.
All the work floats on the medium.
On the medium, yeah, that's what it says on our Bridgestone sheet, and I'm sure that's what I've seen when it's out there. Here comes Marquez under Hernandez, so Marc Marquez takes the place away from Yoni Hernandez. Yoni Hernandez goes straight back at it. Oh, brilliant from the Colombian. I love a bit of that. Doesn't matter about reputation or what number you've got in your front. It is, and he's going to come straight back at him, and Yoni knows it. Yoni Hernandez is such an improved man since he got on this Ducati last year, really, and taking it to Marquez. Marquez not being given the place, that's for certain. So Marc Marquez, the world champion, moves through on Hernandez up to 6th place now.
But a third of a second slower than the leader last time round.
Well, you've got to say that perhaps Yoni might have just been blocking his view, for want of a better phrase.
He certainly did on this lap.
He did indeed. And now we'll see what Marc Marquez is able to achieve from back there. But certainly the Hondas don't seem to have the race pace that I was expecting.
Absolutely not. Rossi was 2/10 quicker than Lorenzo last time round. A smaller gain than we've seen, but there again, it's all reeling back in towards...
Rossi's the master. Yeah. He's not going to push his bike too much. He's not going to burn his tyres. He's not going to, degradation is important. Valentino's just going to ghost up to the back of this bunch and then just do what he does so well.
Top 4 are all quicker than Pedrosa. So that gap is...
Can't believe it, Jules.
I can't either.
The Repsol Honda, I thought, had basically got... I know it's all a lot tighter this year, but those Repsol Hondas in what looked like good race trim look quick to me. Here comes the Ducati again. That GP15 isn't lacking horsepower, is it? Dobby slides up the inside to hit the front then at the end of the front straight. with 14 laps to go. It is Andrea Dovizioso in front of Jorge Lorenzo. It is the factory 2015 GP15, the all-new. First time he saw this bike was what, 35 days ago, as he makes it sit down. He's only ridden it a few times. It is a brand new bike.
And this is the first race, let's not forget. They're finding out things as we speak they did not know and could not know from testing.
One thing I liked about Dovizioso, he says there's still a lot to come. They're at the beginning of their programme, and that's the place you want to be at the beginning of the year. If it's on the pace and you're at the beginning of your programme. Loris Baz, by the way, in the pits. The Frenchman has come down pit lane for the forward bike, and there he is. So Loris Baz, the massively tall Frenchman, is back in pit lane. Don't know why, doesn't look damaged, but he's back. Anyway, Jorge Lorenzo again making that bike hop, skip and jump as he tries to make the transition from one turn to the next. Dovizioso looks pretty smooth to me. Out front at the minute, he'll realise that Valentino Rossi's coming, and that is why Dovizioso's had to get his head down. Like we said just a moment ago, he's a smart kid, and he'll know exactly what's going on from his pit board. No ship to shore, for those of you that are not used to motorcycle racing. The only way they get their information is by looking round, and that includes looking at their pit board once a lap. 3.3 miles this circuit.
Confirmation, we saw the red ring on Rossi's front tire, as you said, Keith, the hard in the front.
But the medium in the rear. It's just the normal black tyre in the rear. If they've got a red ring on the back tyre, you know that's the hard rear as well. Factory could only run hard or medium in the rear, whereas the concession bikes, which includes the one out front, could have run a softer tyre if they wanted to, but the medium obviously is the favoured thing all the way through.
So this is a level playing field. I saw some whinging on Twitter about, oh, it's, stupid, how ridiculous that the soft tyre.
Well, and Lorenzo's out wide again. Lorenzo finds himself under attack from Iannone.
That's not comfortable at any time.
Through comes Valentino as well, right up to the rear end of Iannone. Iannone there, 29, 46, Valentino Rossi in fourth place. Jorge Lorenzo looks to me like his rhythm is getting blown here. Now, that could just be down to the fact that the bike isn't perhaps acting the way he wants it to. And as you've already pretty well pointed out, Jules, he's not the fastest man out there.
I'm afraid not, Jorge fans. He is doing a cracking job, but he doesn't look like a winner of this race at the moment.
No. I have to say that I think Dovizioso is answering a few questions, though, regarding their race trim. As he clears off at front, he knows that Valentino Rossi has been closing in. And if you look down the order, Danny Pedrosa, 156.022. All the ones in front of him are pretty much on 55. So Pedrosa not going quickly. 55.7 for Marquez as well. So Marquez isn't going as quick as the front runners are going. So
in the first couple of sectors, Lorenzo's closed back up, taking a tenth and more out of him. Just as I start writing Jorge off. Second win.
Lorenzo, as you say, 3/10 more. So Lorenzo popping one in there. This is going to be a hell of a race, isn't it? 13 laps still to go. There are the two factory Repsol Hondas riding back in fifth and sixth. Wow.
Every time I check the lap times, Dovi and Marquez are doing identical lap times.
Through comes Jorge Lorenzo then again on Dovizioso. Well, he's woken back up. Maybe he saw the board that says Valentino was closing, and the last thing he wants to be done is beaten by a Ducati or by his teammate, as the Ducati has to go right out to the dirt. And here comes Iannone taking two grabs at that front end. Both the Ducatis slide under the Yamaha. Bit of slipstream from Iannone. Oh, through goes Jorge, cuts it tight to the curb. And really, what a great race. And every lap, the Ducatis grow in stature, Julian.
And as does Andrea Iannone, who we saw some cracking riding from last year, but by this time in the race he'd usually started going backwards through the pack.
What a fantastic race. We were going to say, well, we did say at the beginning of the year, 6 bikes, factory bikes, were going to be in the hunt this year. Didn't quite know when it would start for Ducati. I didn't think it would start from round one, I've got to say, but it has done.
Marquez personal best lap last time round, 55.6.
Yeah, but 55.6 is only just closing in by a tenth on what the boys out front are doing.
And he is 4.8 seconds behind the boys out front.
He's got to work a little harder, or these guys have got to have tyre problems towards the end. We'll wait and see if he manages to sort the Repsol Honda out and get on the tail of these guys. So, it is 12 laps to go. 11 and a half, actually. Andrea Dovizioso about to be passed. Again by Jorge Lorenzo. He lined himself up for that, didn't he? Beautifully. Again, Jorge Lorenzo in those fourth gear quick right-handers. 3 of them there are, and they are really... And Jorge Lorenzo, past master at making that entry turn into that first one of the rights. I love that set of corners.
He brings corner speed, and Rossi's looking at Iannone. Got him, 3rd place.
Yeah, Iannone looking straight back again and underneath him again, though. And I wouldn't be surprised if that Ducati didn't have the pace, but Rossi's forced him out wide this time.
Room underneath? Don't think so.
Well, yeah, but we're coming to turn 16 and onto the front straight, and you watch that Ducati now power up to the side of Rossi. Certainly got the performance, but just straight past. That's going to really upset the Yamaha boys, isn't it? Into the braking area. The 2 Ducatis. Oh, here's the 2 Repsol Hondas languishing, I have to say.
4 seconds behind that group.
And it is Pedrosa still on Marquez, looking back to the Suzuki. Good for the Suzuki. Aleix Espargaro in 11th place.
Who's the top open class? Nicky Hayden in 14th.
Nicky Hayden, yeah. He put a soft rear tyre in that, though, so I wonder if that's going to last the entire distance. He put a softie in the back.
Here's Marquez taking his teammate.
Had to happen. But I've got to say...
Took a while.
Yeah, but that might be good for Dani Pedrosa. Dani Pedrosa has had good pace all weekend, and I don't think Marquez has been the better of Pedrosa this week so far, not noticeably anyway.
And another cheer for Yoni Hernandez, who is still hanging on to those factory Hondas just there with Bradley Smith behind him.
Yeah, Bradley Smith still in 8th place, Cal Crutchlow in 9th place. He did away with Paul Espargaro some time ago. The Suzuki of Aleix Espargaro 11th. Scott Redding on the factory LCR Honda in 12th place. Petrucci 13th, Hayden 14th. Last point going to Bradle on the forward Yamaha in 15th place. Eugene Laverty in 19th, still getting used to that bike. And he said earlier, he's got to catch up on the...
But both Eugene and Maverick Vinales seem to drop to the bottom of the timing screens for some reason we didn't see, Keith, in vision.
Good to get a race distance under his belt, Eugene. He's a proper racer.
Oh, he's done a cracking job.
Lorenzo, Dovizioso. Here comes Valentino up the inside. A Yamaha 1-2. Does he run wide? Yes, he does. Dovizioso forces him a little wider as they come out onto turn 16 in the front straight here, and we know Dovi's going to drive away on that Ducati. We saw it already. The Yamaha can't even live in the slipstream, Julian.
Can't get out the corner like the Duke, can it?
Ducati down that front straight is a weapon, isn't it? And I tell you, they don't look like there's any tyre degradation on that thing of Dovizioso's to me at the moment. The tyre management compared with last year of the Ducati looking very good. That GP15, they have put such a lot of effort into it.
The first thing Dovizioso said when we got here, his first comment, I am very happy, I am fast on used tyres as well as new ones. So he was predicting this.
And it turns in. That must be nice.
Yeah, big change.
Marquez then closes a little bit of a gap up to Iannone, but it's only half a tenth, and they're a long way back at the moment. These are your front 4 in the opening MotoGP race of 2015. It is a Ducati that is really nailing it to them. Wow, who would have said that? So Dovizioso chases Jorge Lorenzo. Valentino Rossi still 3rd, still 4th. Andrea Iannone. Yamaha versus Ducati with the 2 Hondas back in 5th and 6th.
When will we learn that motorcycle racing is never as predictable as you think it should be at the start of a season? We forget so quickly. Oh yeah, it's obviously going to be a Honda walkaway, this, isn't it? We all nod in the hire car and go, yeah, nothing else can happen. And they are a distant
the big question was whether they could make the transition from the soft tyre that they used to qualify in pole position in Dovizioso's case to the medium tyre for the race, whether that would work for them over race trim, race distance, full tank. And here is the answer.
And if you're going to charge back from a bad position, you must be aware this is a fuel-heavy track. The software is not going to allow you to guzzle all your gas.
Onto the front straight again then. 0.6 of a mile, over a kilometre to the other end of it. 65 mile an hour or thereabouts onto the straight, 65 mile an hour thereabouts off the straight, and up to 205 mile an hour along it.
You see the speed differential?
Ooh, there he goes, Dovizioso. He's using his speed differential, Julian. That's
rather well, I'd say.
I'll tell you what though, you watch the way Jorge Lorenzo turns that Yamaha, he still seems to make it work really well. When we get round to those 3 right-handers, round the back of the track. He's just so good round there.
Turns 11, 12, 13 are they, or 12, 13, 14?
He's out on the 12, 13, 14 before that long 15 that we see. Meanwhile, has gone back in front, Jorge Lorenzo. No, he hasn't, sorry.
Rossi's crew looking, there's some tension in there, I'd say.
It's the BT box.
Yep, Mattia, Uccio.
And we're on board with Cal Crutchlow now. So Cal Crutchlow, we're with Crutchlow in 9th place at the moment, chasing fellow Brit Bradley Smith, who's a long way up the road, I think.
Half a second, just over.
Marquez improves a little bit on Iannone again. Here we go then. It is the two Brits stuck together, Bradley Smith and the 35 of the LCR shod, brand spanking new factory Honda of Cal Crutchlow chases the slightly, I won't say aging because it's had its upgrades, but the 38 of Bradley Smith. Bradley Smith putting in a great ride considering it really has been a difficult week for him.
Very difficult, and Hernandez is still in front of the pair of them.
I think they're going to catch him. I think Hernandez is going to be done by the two Brits. Oh, Jorge Lorenzo right out to the edge of the curb there, nearly on the AstroTurf. That's as far as the paintwork will allow.
Are you seeing any degradation in the performance of the Ducati? I mean, I certainly can't.
No, I can't see anything either. I think the Ducati is performing better than we've ever seen. It's certainly in a straight line.
We've seen that before, as demonstrated. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always been good on fuel as well.
They're very clever with the fuel.
Oh, a little wide there, so you're going to arrive there at a few more miles an hour. That means you're going to have to brake just that yard earlier, perhaps, and or run on a bit.
Now Valentino's chance.
I suppose at the end of the day, it's whether we'll have to keep an eye on whether that Ducati can make the pass before the finish line. That's what's going to be crucial here. Can Dovi make the pass on whoever is in front by the line?
So far, Keith, no.
No, I was going to say, I think it is very, very tight. I think the Yamaha turns real well out of the corner. Gigi Dell'Igna, then the man that heads the Ducati development. He was of Aprilia. He came across with a few ideas, I'm sure, and probably a little notebook that helped Ducati in their development. And really, as Colin Wright, the famous team manager from Great Britain, who once said to me that there's no I in team, so it can't all be down to Dell'Igna, but certainly his management and his focus has brought the Ducati on during the last year of development.
Yes, man management as well as his own engineering skills, quite. Rossi is now looking extremely enthusiastic in 3rd place. The one thing I didn't think we were going to see was a Yamaha 1-2 here today.
No, I didn't either, I must say.
And you're starting to feel a bit that way.
I'm starting to think now about what we do with concessionary rulings and stuff like that. If Ducati actually manage to win this, of course, they start losing... do they lose their soft tyre option?
No, the first thing that will happen with 3 Rostrums is they lose
fuel,
the extra 2 litres of gas.
That's true.
And Ducati say that's the one thing they're absolutely, completely not
worried about, indeed. So then, Jorge Lorenzo still leads this race. Andrea Dovizioso right behind him, Valentino Rossi next up, and then it is Dovizioso's teammate Andrea Iannone that comes on to the front straight in 4th place. Let's take a look now at the Ducati versus Yamaha.
Over the line, Lorenzo leads by a 10th.
And I think that we've already established that I don't think that Ducati can quite get to the side of it by the line. So if Yamaha leads onto that front straight,
unless, of course, Andrea has got a little cunning plan up his sleeve.
Yeah, who knows, because he is, like we've already repeated several times, a bit of a thinking man's rider.
Indeed.
Or woman's rider. 7 laps to go.
Rider.
There you go, to be politically correct, which I never am.
No, just succinct.
Marquez, Pedrosa, 5th and 6th, making very little inroads indeed to these front 4. What a turn up for the books for the opening Grand Prix of the year.
Isn't it interesting? As you say, their pace is
nowhere near what I thought it would be.
Exactly. And they had to turn the wick down.
I wouldn't have said this early.
No, I mean overall, you know, maybe that was the fuel consumption was turned up to 11 for qualifying. I don't know. Just a thought. Are conditions that different?
No, I just can't see that personally. There must be a reason though, Julian, so you can speculate away.
I'm searching for it.
We're certainly going to find out afterwards. Don't forget, Checkered Flag comes up after this with Ewan Thomas, and certainly we'll be looking to try and find out some of the detail regarding the Repsol Honda performance. After this show, you will be getting Checkered Flag with all the details. 1 hour wrap of the MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3 sessions today at the Qatar Grand Prix here just outside Doha. Lorenzo leads. Andrea Dovizioso in second place, Valentino Rossi in third place, fourth is Andrea Iannone, and trying to close that gap, Marc Marquez, the defending world champion, from his teammate Danny Pedrosa in fifth and sixth. Yoni Hernandez still holds Bradley Smith and Cal Crutchlow in eighth and ninth places. Back onto the start and finish straight we go then. Half a mile up this straight is the line. It is 0.6 of a mile to the end of the straight, and that's about the point at which the Ducati catches the Yamaha, which is not in time.
Just not in time. Iannone's starting to lose touch, dare I say, to with the top three, but he's still got over 3 seconds of tarmac behind him before Marc Marquez, who is a little bit quicker. What did Marquez do last time? 55.9. Again, identical to Lorenzo.
Cal Crutchlow we're looking at now, the 35 in front of Hernandez, so he's made up to 7th place. We thought he'd catch Hernandez. He has caught and passed him. He's caught and passed Bradley Smith. Paul Espargaro, Bradley Smith's teammate, is now on the case. The 44 at the back of this bunch is Paul Espargaro.
Bradley needs to keep him behind him.
He does really, but I have to say that he's looking pretty angry, Espargaro at the moment. There is Paul Espargaro.
The lead of the Open competition has changed. Hector Barbera has just gone past Nicky Hayden.
And there is Aleix Espargaro in the background as well, that's dropping off the pace a little bit on the Suzuki. Right, back at the front. My question, Julian, what has Valentino got up his sleeve? He looks to me like a man that's very comfortable sat there in third place at the moment. Doesn't look like he wants to show his hand. Perhaps he's got something until the end of this race. There he goes! Oh! Into those fast right-handers. He can't quite do what Jorge seems to be able to do into that one. Turns 12, 13, 14, they are frighteningly fourth gear fast. And then we've got 15 that we're coming to now, which is another quick old turn. But into turn 12, Jorge seems to have the pace to make the pass. Valentino not quite that time round. This is the last corner on the track, turn 16. We have 5 laps to go in half a mile's time as they head to the line.
This has gone quickly, hasn't it?
It's enthralling, isn't it? It's one of those races. Who's it going to be? Yamaha or Ducati? Honda are out of it, I think.
Yeah, Rossi in just the right position to get a slipstream. Dovi.
Yeah, Dovi drives around the outside and runs wide, very, very wide. Through comes Valentino. He won't need an invitation when the door's that wide open.
That time, Dovi got to the line first by only 5 1/1000ths of a second, but promptly ran wide at turn 1.
Yeah, he did, and then Valentino stuck his nose in there for a moment, but then Dovi got it back. Oh, they're all over the dirt as well now. What's the distance back to Marquez? Is Marquez making some headway?
2.9 seconds. He did a 56.1. Dovi did a 56.2.
Let's have a look at this. Dovi then fastest man up into turn 1, runs it a bit, just backs it in a bit too much, runs it a bit wide. Through goes Jorge, no problem. Valentino goes for the apex, but gets out Dovi by turn 2. Oh, he's going to have him this time though. Valentino looking at it again. He's looking a bit racy now, Valentino. He's obviously got some pace that's more than what we're seeing. I think Valentino has he's been quite comfy back in third place. He's beginning to get a bit fidgety with 4.5 laps to go.
Needs to make a move if he wants to win it, are you saying?
Oh, I think he's got the pace to make that win. I'll tell you what, there's a couple of kids on the crew here that are going to make a bob or two if Valentino makes this work.
Now it's illegal in this part of the world.
Might be. Maybe the betting was back in the UK.
I sincerely hope so. Bradley Smith has now gone past Yoni Hernandez.
2.6 back from Iannone to Marquez. Marquez is making a bit of a move now. He's beginning to close it in. Let's have a look. 2.6 is now down to 2.5. So Marc Marquez with 4 and a bit laps left to go.
I still don't think that's possible, Keith. My mathematics says no.
Well, I suppose it depends on how much this lot trip over each other.
And Iannone is
fading
back
just
a little bit.
Exactly that. I think that's the reason rather than the front 3. I think that Iannone is falling off the back of this. Right then, by the line, looks to me like the Ducati's got the pace. Did he make it over the line?
No, Lorenzo.
Yeah, every time. So Test has proved that Lorenzo, if he leads out of that last corner, and again Dovi runs really, really wide, but this time I think he's got it covered as we get down to turn 2. This is a corner that's been look at the sweat. I tell you what, that's the most worried I've seen Gigi Dall'Igna look since the olden days. There is Lynn Jarvis of Yamaha. Always looks like
Rossi on Lorenzo. That was coming.
It had to come at some stage. He knows he can't let Dovi get away with this. Maybe Dovi got a bit more up his sleeve than we were seeing as well. We can only guess. We can only speculate what a battle this is. Ducati versus Yamaha.
Who'd have thought it?
Where's the Honda?
5th.
Long way off still. 2.5 seconds off between Iannone in 4th and Marquez in 5th. Pedrosa still 6th. So, Dovi, Rossi, Lorenzo, Iannone. It's a three-way face. It's a three-way race even. Face-off is not bad. Dovi back in front from Valentino Rossi. Rossi looking pretty racy now. He's going to look to try and make the pace and get by. And I think he's going to try and make a break for this, you know. I've got the feeling Valentino feels he has the pace to get past and make the break.
He doesn't want a drag race out of the last corner.
Here he goes. Valentino Rossi hits the front for the first time. Valet goes through, and through comes Dovi again. We've got a race. It's Yamaha versus... How many times do we see Valentino in this kind of race, in this track?
As Iannone now woken up as well as on Lorenzo's case.
Everybody's at it.
Marquez, 55.8 last time round, 0.4 quicker than the guys in front of him who were chipping each other up.
Red and blue, red and blue. Will there be a bit of orange joining us soon as well? Marquez closing up with 3 and a bit laps left to go as we come onto the straight now. They head for 3 laps to go as they come to the line. Dovizioso leads. Valentino Rossi, what is he made of? 36 back in January, 36 years old, 9 times a world champion. He looks absolutely the skinniest man out there, and through has come Dovizioso as well into 3rd place as well, over Jorge Lorenzo as Marquez closes it down.
Surely what Rossi knows is if he lets Dovi lead or be a length or 2 behind him out of that last corner, it's over. He must get in front of Dovi at a place where he can gap him.
I think he can. Valentino Rossi's looked real good out of those 3, 12, 13, 14, those 4th gear right-handers. So we'll wait and see. All the speculation. Everyone's on the edge of the sofa at home. I'd be behind it. It'd be slightly scary to watch. Again, Valentino just breaking away these two now from 3rd and 4th places as we look at Iannone driving past Jorge Lorenzo for 3rd place. Ducati's on the podium. Both of the factory Ducatis on the podium. What would that do? Here comes Valentino.
Whoa.
Whizzes through. Does he keep it down? No, he doesn't. Dovizioso one more time forces his way back under. I'll tell you what.
Calm, isn't he?
Goes to show you how close these two are matched, doesn't it? This time, though, he's got it covered and he's pulled it to the curb. Valentino Rossi, through those right-handers I'm talking about, he finally got it done at 12. 13 we're on now. Then it's 14.
He's not getting rid of him, though, is he?
I don't think he will through here, but it's all about getting onto that front straight. Now we're going to get a real test of who manages to make the line. After we're through 15 now, up to the last corner we come, into 16 it will be, in the braking area now. Pulls it down to 65 miles an hour. The Yamaha will be first onto the front straight, but where will Dovizioso go with the flying Ducati? Into the slipstream now. Past him he comes. Does he make it by the line? He does. So, even if Valentino leads onto the front straight, Dovizioso can actually make it over the line. 2 laps to go. Valentino goes through. A little mistake again for Dovizioso. He can't quite get that Ducati stopped by turn 1, but certainly knows how to get past by turn 2. Watch for Valet looking for the inside. They almost touch. Back tyre to front tyre. Through comes Valentino. Oh, we've got a dogfight. It is the Yamaha versus Ducati. 2 of the most skilled men on that racetrack in MotoGP terms is Valentino Rossi. 7 times a MotoGP world champion, 9 times in total a world champion, 36 years old. The Italian is nothing short of a god to many. And Andrea Dovizioso is no mug on the Ducati.
Absolutely. The thought occurs to me that Iannone's never had a rostrum in Moto Grand Prix.
That's a hell of a thought. When was the last time Ducati had 2 people on the podium?
Bayliss and Loris Capirossi at some point in time, I assume.
Back a while, that's for certain. Valentino Rossi's got to make the break, and he realises that. Valentino Rossi's got to make 1.5 laps as fast as he possibly can. If he can make a break on Dovizioso and lead by enough coming out of turn 16, can he hold it to the line?
But Dovi knows he hasn't got to force past. He can just get up to his back wheel.
Right now he can't live with him, Julian. That's my point. Valentino's pulled the pin, for using an old analogy.
An old phrase, and a good one.
Certainly seems to work. Right then, turn 12, 13, 14. These right-handers. In fact, we're not quite... wait for it. Oh, that's a great camera. Let's stick with that one for the minute, shall we? Into the braking area now. This will be it. Valentino Rossi. Onto the front straight then. That's a big lead. Can Dovizioso close it down? He will do by the end of the straight, but I don't think it'll be enough. Look at Valentino holding the line. Dovizioso goes through, but he's got to make the break. And I've got to say that Dovizioso runs wide every time into this corner. That was almost disaster then, because we know that Dovizioso can't pull it down tight. Valentino's got it into turn 1. We're at turn 2 now. Count them off, ladies and gentlemen. It is the 9-time world champion, 7 times MotoGP champion that leads Andrea Dovizioso on the brand new GP15 Ducati. I reckon Valentino knows the way around this part of the track to try and hold Dovizioso at bay. It's all about whether the Duke has the steam to get past the Yamaha by the line.
That last time round, Keith, Rossi was first to the line by 0.03 of a second.
Could be one of the closest Grand Prix finishes we've ever seen. Gigi Dell'Igna.
The boss is in.
He is indeed. Alongside Gigi. While we watch 46, Valentino Rossi. What a legend this man is. Can he do it for Yamaha? Yamaha looked out of this through free practice and of course through qualifying. I am stunned by what they've achieved between qualifying and race trim. They obviously concentrated through the week on their race trim, and hasn't it paid off? The opposite could be said for the 2 Repsol Hondas, who are still back in 5th and 6th. We've almost forgotten about them.
And stunned by what Ducati have achieved since Sepang 2.
That's the first time they got the GP15 out, so that's the first time the public appearance of this GP15 35 days ago. Andrea Dovizioso got a chance to ride this thing. Now he's going to try and ride it for victory. We're into the last corners. It's down towards turn 16. Valentino Rossi leads this race right now from Andrea Dovizioso. Is Andrea Dovizioso going to thwart Valentino Rossi at the line? Valentino Rossi leads for the last time onto the last lap. Will the Ducati make it to the line? I don't think so. Valentino Rossi is the victor at the Qatari Grand Prix, and Yamaha celebrate on the wall. A magnificent result for Yamaha, unexpected possibly for Yamaha, but equally dramatic, equally exceptional was Ducati's performance on the new 2015 Ducati. Iannone gets 3rd, so we've got Ducati 2nd and 3rd, Lorenzo 4th, Marquez 5th, Pedrosa 6th, Cal Crutchlow in 7th place, Bradley Smith is in 8th place, Paul Espargaro, his teammate, in 9th, Hernandez gets 10th, Alicia Espargaro on the debut of the new Ducati this year finishes in 11th place. Suzuki, sorry. Petrucci, getting excited now. Petrucci 12th. Scott Redding gets points in 13th place. Maverick Vinales in 14th. And of course, back in 15th, the last place, Hector Barbera gets a point.
Abraham and Miller went down in a heap on the last lap.
Well,
Andrea Dovizioso set his fastest lap of the race last time round, 55.4. Rossi had to do 55.3 on the last lap to beat him.
Look how happy Ducati are. Paolo Ducati in there. Oh, and I'll tell you what, hats off to Ducati. There's Uccio, best friend of Valentino Rossi, with Silvano Galbachera, crew chief, of course, for Valentino Rossi now. That is a massive, massive win at the beginning of this year. We are seeing more and more history being made by Valentino Rossi. He closes in on Giacomo Agostini's record of Grand Prix wins in an era when it's probably more difficult to get them, if I may be slightly disrespectful. I don't mean to be, of course.
I don't think that's disrespectful at all.
The point is that nowadays it's very, very tough. There's so many quick motorbikes out there now. A one-handed wheelie from Valentino Rossi, the victor in Qatar. Wow, celebrations into the night, Julian, for Yamaha.
Rossi's 109th Grand Prix victory, up against Ago's 122. We didn't think we'd see that.
I have to say, not at all. These were the men that I thought had the pace for race pace. 93 Marquez vanquished in the early Grand Prix. I'm astounded. I have no idea where Yamaha found that performance from free practice and qualifying to the race. Right, let's go down the pit lane then. Yamaha's Lynn Jarvis. He must have a smile on his face, surely.
Lynn, you've done this many, many times. Does he get better? What is that about? That was the most amazing race I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's Valentino Rossi at his best. You know, sensational to come back from, you know, where was he in the beginning? In 8th place, I think. And choice of tyre paid off at the end, but, you know, it's mainly about
heart and what you got down there. So, you know, he did incredibly well.
He's got the biggest heart, he's got the biggest bits down there. He is unbelievable. And it's a team effort. You guys worked on the race setup so hard. You must be so proud of everybody.
Yeah, really. I mean, the great guys did a great job, and we weren't panicking. We had some trouble, but step by step they're working on everything. I'm sorry for Jorge to not be on the podium. But anyway, win is a win, so we'll take it.
You're going to enjoy the celebrations.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, there may not be a huge crowd here in Qatar for MotoGP racing. That is a shame because they have missed out on seeing firsthand an absolutely stunning performance from Yamaha to come back from where they were in free practice and qualifying. But look at the celebrations from Ducati as well. Second and third, Julian.
And the top open bike just came in as well. That's a Ducati.
Well, Repsol Honda vanquished well and truly.
That's the story. That is the story, isn't it? And a queue of well wishes from every team for Valentino.
How does this man always do it? How does he always manage to pull that off? You know, his 250th Grand Prix win, where was that? Was that Phillip Island?
Republic.
Phillip Island, was it?
Its first win.
No, 250th Grand Prix win, I think. He writes history as he goes along. He seems to hit those points, doesn't he? Is my point. The 100th, the 250th. It's like someone's writing a book that he's actually scripted to.
That's always my line. Who writes his scripts?
Look at the man there, 93. That's a great shot from Marc Marquez, sitting back in the pits, watching all this going on where he would normally expect to be in Parc Ferme, celebrating with his team, jumping into the arms of the Repsol Honda team, and he'll be sobbing into the arms of the Repsol Honda team after this.
And Andrea Dovizioso, I know he wanted to win, but that team are acting like they've won as well.
Davide Todozzi to the left-hand side. You can just see the ex-World Superbike World title holder as well. Team
contender.
Uccio straight on there. Silvano Galbashara, the man who came in, replaced Jeremy Burgess as team crew chief, somewhat messily done a couple of winters ago, but obviously the new man. Whoops, we apologise for anything that you might have heard there. Another bit of agricultural description of the start.
Indeed.
Well, it didn't really matter, did it? Because the finish was the one that counted.
And Andrea Iannone on the other factory Ducati gets his first Moto Grand Prix rostrum in his first ride as a true factory rider.
Magnificent is all I can say, Jules. Magnificent.
Dovi.
It was a duel in the desert.
It was a proper duel, Keith. A proper duel. And for Ducati, Gigi Dall'Igna and his team to have achieved what they've done.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely, I do. Well, Gigi Dall'Igna, he's looked a little smug this week, I've got to say, because the Ducati's performed particularly well, but I bet he's got a massive smile on his face now, Gav.
He does have a smile on his face, and I think every reason. That was an unbelievable race. I know you didn't win it, but to have two Ducatis on the podium after, 7 days of riding this bike, what does that mean to you and the whole of Ducati?
No, you know, I'm quite happy, but not really happy, because when I can win and I don't, you know, I cannot be really happy. Anyway, we have two bikes on the podium, for sure, after 5-6 days of practice, because the bike is completely new. So this is the demonstration of the technology that Ducati have. So I'm really happy for that.
Andrea was saying, in the race we'll find what the real potential is. I think we've seen it. That bike can race, can't it?
Yeah. Hey, you know, but anyway, the next circuit could be different for us. We don't know. But anyway, you know, I enjoyed this day.
Well, we all did as well. You go and enjoy even further, Gigi. Thank you.
The mark of a winner, of course, is a man who's not satisfied with second place. So Gigi Dall'Igna, absolutely, we understand exactly what you're on about. It's not. It's just a disappointment of being that close to a win, I suppose. That would have been remarkable in itself. But I still think second and third for that new motorcycle on the grid at a Grand Prix is just a little special. Let's get down then to hear from Andrea.
Well, Dovi, first you had to fight with Jorge Lorenzo, then you had Valentino Rossi. I think one of the best races ever. You must be tired.
Yes, he's really happy to come back and fight for the victory. And in the last few laps, in the last lap, I pushed really hard, over 100% in the last lap. I made a really good lap time, but I didn't have any more grip on the edge, and it was impossible to try to attack Valentino, he was really strong in the braking, but in the first part of the acceleration, he was better. And anyway, second position the first race is really good. Thank you to the team, really.
Thank you very much, Dobby.
His fellow countryman then coming up to the podium. Valentino Rossi, the legend continues. It's absolutely remarkable, isn't it, as he plays to the crowd. This man is a god, and we're going to hear from him what it means to be.
Well, Valentino, you won the first race of 2015. A difficult start, but then I think one of the best ever fights in your career.
Yeah, you know, I said this a lot of times, but for me this is one of the best, because after the bad start I recovered a lot. We did a very great job during the practice and my bike was fantastic, and step by step I arrived there. I try to don't give up. The bike move everywhere, but after with the two Ducatis and with the Jorge was difficult, but in some places I was very strong, very good in the line, and I'm so happy for me, for my team, for Yamaha, for all the guys that are with me. Ciao.
Thanks, Valentino.
You're a very special man, there is no doubt about that. If I sound like I've got adulation coming out of my ear holes, I have, because that Yamaha was nowhere at the beginning of this week and he's managed to make it work. And you can find out all the very latest from the rear end of pit lane, if you understand me, the other side of the garages, the checkered flag at 8 p.m. here on BT Sport with Ewan Thomas, who is breathless in pit lane at the moment, picking up the latest news that he can. And we've got 1 hour of show coming up after this show. It's called Checkered Flag, it's on at 8 o'clock, and with a bit of luck we'll be hearing from the inside of the Movistar Yamaha camp and all the very latest from them. How did they do it? But they did. Let's have a look at the final results. Valentino Rossi, Andrea Dovizioso, Andrea Iannone, two Ducatis shotgunning Valentino Rossi home. All Italian, yeah, that's a very good point. Julian putting his finger on the monitor here. And the Italian top three, fantastic. Look down the order. Scott Redding getting some points in 13th place.
Top Brit, Keith, was Crutchlow in 7th, half a second ahead of Smith.
Well, Bradley Smith has had a hard week. Crutchlow had a poor qualifying, slinging it up the road. So really that's the two Brits getting solid points, I think we can say from that, with not a great qualifying situation.
Bradley's first points of this track as well in Motor Grand Prix. That'll be a relief.
Well, certainly a relief after last year, if we remember the helicopter crash that he had during the course of that.
The question for you, Keith, at 36 years old.
I know.
I wonder where Valentino gets his motivation from.
It's absolutely incredible, isn't it? So Valentino Rossi starts 2015 as he means to go on. Yamaha are on top again, Craig.
And the excitement for all MotoGP fans here and across the world, and of course